And thanks especially to our 5 presenters. We have 3 clubs that have had a 20% or better net membership gain since July 1, when DG David's year started. And we're going to take them in an order, not based on anything other than who needs to get off first. And that is Rotary Club of Valdez, President Susan Bingham, and membership chair Beth Hiley, and tell us what they've done in this COVID year to do so well. Take it away, Valdez.
Thank you, Philip. Yes, I'm Beth Hiley. I'm the current membership chair for Rotary Club of Valdez. I was a past president of our club and have been doing membership now for 2 years. I told Philip, I disclosed, I wanted to make sure that you guys knew our membership increase actually started in the last club year. So I'll start back there and then move to how we kept it all going during COVID. In January of 2019, a whole year ago, we had an event called Discover Rotary. I think a lot of clubs were doing it at that time. And we put together a mailing. I put it together, a 4-page newsletter, you know, the kind you get that's 8.5 by 11 that folds, and then it folds over for mailing. I made a very nice newsletter talking about our club, all we do, who our members are, and we made 100 copies. And for you big clubs, it may not be a lot, but for us, that cost $115 to print. And then we hand delivered some to the businesses in town. We postal mailed some, but we got the word out that we were having this event in January called Discover Rotary. And at that event, it was kind of like a club assembly, but a little more fun. Sometimes club assemblies are just your department chairs going rah, 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 rah. Well, we had 25 different people in our club that spoke 1 minute each. And I was the timekeeper, and at 1 minute, I cut them off and they were out of there, whether they were mid-sentence or not. And that was the committees talking, of course, but also our fundraising chair, our cart chair, our whatever it may be, anything that somebody did in the club, they were able to talk about. And so it was kind of like speed dating. It went wide open. And we had some of our new members said they couldn't believe how much they learned about Rotary in that day. Disappointingly, out of the 100 mailings or deliverings that we did, only 4 people came to that discovery day. But those 4 people all ended up joining. So maybe the best people, we didn't get the quantity we wanted, but we sure got the quality. The ones who read that paper and we followed up with, they were there because they believed and wanted to be a part of it. So by February, we were going through the process to vote in these 4 members and get them installed with DG Tiffany in March when, you know, all broke loose. The key there was then keeping these people engaged, because right at that start, you know, we just stopped meeting. We weren't even Zooming. Everybody was just on hold. But I continued any updates I had with those 4 people saying, it's going to happen. Just hang with us. We're going to meet again. Are you okay? Do you have any questions? Like, I did not stop contacting them during that time. Thankfully, Susan Bingham, who was our incoming president, she started picking up the ball in June. Like, just a lot was going on and our club wasn't able to get it together, but Susan was ready. She had been through PETS training and wanted to get started on her year. So in June, she started doing some Zoom meetings. They were loosely board meetings, loosely planning meetings, but we invited those new members and anybody who wanted to come to the meetings just to have a little bit of an outlet. And we held our first event. I don't want to say that you guys should, because I know if you're in Ashford or the bigger cities that maybe you had more of an outbreak, but we're just here in Little Valdez and things were going okay with us. And on June 30th, I think it was, or whatever the last meeting date in June was, Susan had an event at her house. We went ahead and installed our new members. We picked up one along the way in there just because people we knew. So we installed 5 people at Susan's house on June 30th with a supper and everything. And that was okay. That was okay for our club, the ones who were willing and able to come. And we signed the official documentation that we wouldn't hold Rotary accountable, blah, blah, blah. So then July came around and Susan was official and we started meeting outside. We have in Valdez a Rotary Park, thankfully, that's a picnic shelter. So we started meeting there each Tuesday and we brought in 3 new members during that time. Two, I guess all of them had been to our meetings before. But again, it's just like keeping in contact with people. And I'm a big Facebook person, so I'm always saying, this is what we're doing this time at our Rotary meeting. Won't you join us? Or I did this with Rotary. So sometimes instead of me going out and getting people, they come to me. They say, oh, Beth, I saw you're doing this with Rotary, or I know you're the one that I need to go to. I'm ready now. You know, we had one that wasn't ready 2 years ago, but they're ready now. So that's some of the key. And also just Susan, I feel like we needed to meet in person to keep the members that we had joining. And I'm sorry if other clubs can't do that, but being able to be outside, I mean, Rotary is about service and giving back, but it's also about the fellowship. And it's also being able to connect. And those new people needed to feel like we loved them and we wanted them and we were appreciative of them. And I will say with our new incoming board, our new president, since we have to have all that lined up by the end of last year, they were already engaging the new members and wanting them to be committee co-chairs, or we even needed an officer. So they were already engaging them and making them feel welcome. We did an online auction. So I guess that's kind of my summary. We did start before COVID. During COVID, we just kept reaching out and not losing focus. Thankfully, we were able to meet in person. We went back to online now for a while, but we're hoping to meet in person again. But I feel like it's engagement and just letting people know what you're doing so they know who to come to when they're ready. And then I was going to let Susan follow up with anything I missed.
Well, one of the things you said was you started that in 2020, January of 2020. So the first 6 months of 2020 is what you were talking about. And then when I came on board in the end of June of 2020, then I really worked hard to get people thinking about Rotary again and how they could still make a difference during the pandemic. But I want to tell you a little bit about Beth. Beth was voted our Community Service Above Self person this year. And not only did she get that award, but she got the 2020 Ruby Award for Conservation Volunteer Services. And so what I can tell you is Beth is a real go-getter. So with her being our membership chair, she has always got the energy above anybody else to be seeing people, inviting people, making people feel welcome. So we're blessed in Valdez to have Beth Holly as our membership chair. So I think that has made a big difference too. But we have really tried as a club to make everybody feel welcome. And we have a couple other people who are asking to come in. So hopefully before this year's over, we will have a couple new members. And that's very important to us, that people that want to be a Rotarian, we will make them feel welcome and find a way to make them feel important and that they have something to do for Rotary. And I think that's kind of the way I look at it. So anyway, but we're blessed to have Beth as our membership chair. And next month, she's going to be doing another membership thing. And so it's been hard. It's been a very hard month. It's been hard for Beth because she says our numbers are limited of how many people can meet in person. And this makes my job so hard, but she still trudges along to make it work under the constraints that we have, being with meeting constraints and things like that, that is being presented to us through COVID. So anyway, but thank you for asking us to be a part of the meeting today, Philip.
Thank you for helping keep the district membership what it is. And Beth, you and Susan, I hope you can, I know one of you has to go to a family event, but stick around as long as you can. We may have some questions, but thank you, and you stay within your time. Next, want to move to the Rotary Club of Highlands Mountaintop. We have Kirk Dornbush, president, and I've never met. Is it Jeff or Jeffrey Owens?
Well, we also, so Jeffrey, it's Jeffrey, not Jeff.
Gotcha.
And we also have Michael. First off, hey, this is Kirk Dornbush. I'm the president of Mountaintop Rotary. Also with us is our president-elect, Michael Vavrick. I'm thrilled Michael's on the call too. Jeffrey is our membership chair. You know, Beth, it's really interesting that you started your talk by going back a year. I had actually not planned on doing that, but I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of talking about our success with membership. When I guess it was the last year, Dr. B's year, before COVID, we had, so our version of the 100 copy flyer newsletter that you put out, Beth, was a little more informal. We had a meet and greet at a local bar, and the ask of all of our members was you had to bring one friend and just promise them free beer and free food. And what they have to give us in return is they've got to listen to a 20-minute talk on why we, the members of Rotary who are at the bar, are members of Rotary and what it means for us. And so we had a really good turnout, and, and everybody loves to bring finger food, and it was really a lot of fun. We had several members kind of stand up and talk about what Rotary meant to them, but we also brought in executive directors of several of the organizations that benefit both from our sweat and actual green equity. And they had a chance to talk about what Rotary meant to their nonprofit organizations, and that combination of members talking about what Rotary meant in their lives, and then some of the nonprofit organizations being able to talk about the difference that Rotary has made to their organizations, really made a big difference. And we had really nice membership growth last year, and then we got whacked, right? Everybody got whacked with COVID, and that was, that presented a real challenge. I guess it's fortunate or lucky or whatever, but I run a virtual company. Our corporate offices are in Seoul, Korea. Our research and development's in San Francisco. Our manufacturing's in Germany. Our clinical operations are in Switzerland. So we've been Zooming since Zooming was cool. And when we had our last meeting, our last get-together meeting, late February of 2020, I said, y'all, we're not going to miss a meeting. We're going to use this thing called Zoom, and we're all going to meet. And what we found is that as people started, having to shelter in place, and everybody started getting cabin fever, that 1 hour, Beth, you talked about fellowship. That 1 hour from 5:30 to 6:30 became, a therapy session for everybody. I mean, our attendance at Rotary Club meetings has been consistently higher because we do them via Zoom than they were in person. And now part of that is unique to Highlands. Highlands is it's a resort community. It's what we call a 3 and 30 community. It's 3,000 in the winter and 30,000 in the summer. And we have a lot of part-time members, and we just would flat lose them in the winter. And having Zoom allowed us to keep everybody the whole time. And we combined that with the ability to bring in speakers from all over the place, right? You're no longer limited to getting someone to come to Highlands, North Carolina, and then have to, give them a place to stay, and they could do it from the comfort of a home. So what we found is that Zoom actually worked pretty well. And so we were able to sort of keep that fellowship component. In fact, in the instance of our club, it really thrived. And so that was great. We kept our core together. And, but, you know, but we still had this challenge of how do you bring in new people? Because, you know, you can't go see them. You can't go to bars, obviously. And this is where I'm really, I'm thrilled that both Jeffrey and Michael are on the phone. One of the things that we're doing differently, and I know this is going to kind of sound a little bit like hooey, and I don't mean it to be, because it actually is the truth, and it's made a big difference for us. You know, I'm a relatively new Rotary member. I've only been there since teen. And one of the things that I heard as I kind of went through this is, well, you know, each year you have a president and he or she is, you know, kind of runs the show and it's her year. And the thinking there is, you know, how much damage can they do in a year? But really, every year has that fingerprint of the president, and it's whatever he or she wants to do. And when I came in, I said, you know, that's a great model. It's worked for Rotary, and it's wonderful. It just doesn't speak to me, and it's not really something. It's not a model I really want to follow, because the fact of the matter is, this is y'all's Rotary. It's not my Rotary. And so if I do nothing this year, but just reinforce the fact that it isn't the president's year, but it's everybody else's year, and it's your Rotary. And so you're going to have to decide what you want to do with this. If that's the only thing that I accomplish, then I've done good. And one of the things that I did to really kind of jumpstart that is my president-elect, Michael Vavrick, who's on the call with us, I said, Michael, you're going to run Rotary this year. I mean, I'm going to be the president and provide leadership and maybe some direction, but I really want you to take the reins and run it, so that next year when you come in, you're going to be a pro and you can train your president-elect so she can run it. And Michael has just done an incredible job of engaging everybody in our club so that this is their Rotary, not my Rotary or Michael's Rotary. And so when we combined the esprit de corps that Zoom created, right, that we could all get together, and we were craving getting together, and even if it was virtual, it didn't matter, because we could all talk to each other and chat and catch up, with the fact that we were pushing the ownership of our club out to the members in a way that really made a difference. Everything just took off. I mean, people just ran with it. Now, what does all this have to do with membership? Well, Jeffrey came in, and, you know, membership chair, it's a tough job. And Jeffrey looked at me and he goes, man, I don't know. And I said, look, buddy, getting new members is actually not the responsibility of the membership chair. Getting new members is the responsibility of the members. The membership chair just kind of is there to orchestrate it, maybe volunteer his house to do some of the induction ceremonies, follow up with emails in terms of prospects, but the ownership of new membership belongs with the members. And so, you know, I think it was in August when we were talking about our membership goals, I said, I've got one goal. It's really easy. Every member of Rotary has to bring in one person. That's it. Not two, not three, not five, one. Just bring in one person in 12 months and we'll be successful. And so you combine all of that, right? The excitement, you know, kind of as I said, the esprit de corps of participating every week on Zoom, even in the midst of this pandemic, the fact that Michael Vavrick has done such a good job of really just pushing out the ownership of our club to our members, and that simple request of asking everybody to bring in one member. We've gone from 31 at the beginning of the year, and we're now at 40. And my membership goal that I put to the club is we got to hit 45 because that's our limit. We cannot go above 45 without changing our bylaws. So we're well on our way, and that's that's worked for us this year. Jeffrey, I don't know if you want to add anything, or Michael Vavrick, if you want to add anything.
No,
I might add that
very well told.
I will add that a certain number of our newest members are members that have been involved in Rotary groups in other places. And they were looking for a new Rotary home. So they've been really strong members right away. And particularly a couple that were in leadership positions in other places. And so they came and brought their own recruiting with them. So we've had a good surge in membership this year. We've only just begun talking about how we might be careful and not grow too large, because we have the size of our club allows us to feel responsible when we have events. It's not so large that you can hide. So I think it's important that we find that good sweet spot. And I know we don't want to discourage membership, but we want to be careful not to ruin what's good about our club, since there's more than one in this town. And I think we're sort of happy where we are as far as our spirit. So Michael may have a different idea, but I think that's how I would summarize the last growth period we've had.
No,
That's great, gentlemen. Good job. And last but not least today, Rotary Club of Murphy's president, Tim Radford. And Tim, let's hear what y'all did.
All right. I'm actually kind of a new member myself. I've been under two presidents. I was brought in by past president Travis Hicks, who is on the call now. He is also our president-elect. So people liked Travis so much they had to have him back. So we're happy to have Travis back. And Travis brought me into the club. And when he did, I didn't know a lot about the club. And so these last few years, I've been learning about the club. And when I used to be very shy about inviting people to the club, because I thought, okay, I'm just obligating them to pay funds, pay the dues, things like that. So I was kind of hesitant about inviting people to join us because I didn't know a lot myself about what we were all involved in. And I remember talking to the Chamber of Commerce director. She had told me when I invited her, well, Rotary is just a bunch of grumpy old men who meet on Mondays that have lunch. And I heard that from someone else. And then someone else says, oh, Murphy Rotary Club, they sell Christmas trees. We did not have a very good branding here in Murphy. So my goal was to make sure that everyone in Cherokee County knew what Rotary Club does, and we continue to do. So with me owning a radio station, I understand how marketing works pretty well. We have some companies that say, I can't afford to advertise. And we tell them, you can't afford not to advertise. One of our local managers of our Walmart here in Murphy, I'll just share this story with you. He was not allowed to advertise with local newspapers and local radio stations. It was just all a corporate thing. They did the corporate advertising for Walmart. So what he did, he knew that marketing worked. He would, we have a show called Party Line on our station. He would put Mayfield milk on sale for 25 cents. Come in and ask for the Party Line special, and you could only have like 2 or 3. So the days he did that, his store would be flooded with the customers to get that quarter milk. And while they were there, they would buy other things. So he realized, and he could not get that to corporate, how important marketing was to the brand of that local store. So he wasn't allowed to pay us out of advertising funds. So we got a birthday card every month with a birthday card, and inside there was a check from Lawn and Garden for their maintenance of their grounds. So that's how he paid us, but he knew the importance of that. So my idea, and Travis was the same way, he wanted to make sure that people in Murphy and Cherokee County knew what we were doing. And that's just not something that had not really been pursued before. People had this one image of us, and they didn't want to be attracted. They were not attracted to that. And one of my favorite lines in my whole lifetime is, quote, to be loved, be lovable. So when I thought about that, not only as a person, but to be loved, be lovable. So we need to show the community what we're doing, why they want to be attracted to be members of our club. So I'm one of the larger media companies in the town. We have the newspaper as well, who is also the publisher's a member as well. So I focused a lot on our public image team. Last year and the year before, I think I was the chairman of the public image. And then I appointed the newspaper editor this year to be the chairman. And then I created a new role, the public information officer. Her job is to get all the news releases sent to all the radio stations in the area, all the newspapers in the area, all the chambers of commerce in the area. So we're flooding the market with good news about Rotary, what we're doing. And for example, on between my personal and company page, I have about 30,000 followers on Facebook. So pumping in one story with pictures of us doing good, those action photos, not just handing checks to people, but us in a big group handing out face masks and food to people that are in need. Especially during COVID, we got a lot of we got a grant for COVID masks, and when COVID first hit, we had a line, very long line, and we served a lot of people. It's kind of like the manna food produce handouts. We had them there. So we took pictures and we showed the community, here's what we're doing to make your community better than we found it. So with that, and our membership chair, who is right now, he is still in the hospital. He is battling COVID-19. He has been in the hospital, I think about 60 days now, so 2 months. And is a situation where he was retired. Rotary was his full-time job. It really was his full-time job. He would wake up and think about Rotary, call me, and excited. And to be honest, his wife admits this too. He is one of the most annoying people I've ever met. But I missed that annoyance from Tim. He was always pushing us to make sure that we were doing the very best we could for membership. But he is still in the hospital now, waiting to get into a rehabilitation office there. So with that, we would send a card out to our guests that visit us, get their name, email, all that good stuff. And one thing that I've started doing since Tim is in the hospital, I put all of our guests into the DACDB as potential members. That way they're going to get our newsletters that we're sending out, our weekly updates. They see the projects we're working on, and it's very easy to move them from potential member to an active member once they're engaged, once they see what we're doing. So I think I have like 8 or 9 people right now under the potential member tab, and you can send a email out to those as well. So I'm just making sure they stay engaged. They don't forget about Rotary because they're getting the emails from our club every week or so. And the other thing I would really like to do is find people who are great at networking. The person who I said that the director of the Chamber of Commerce, who told me the very first time I asked her that she said that Rotary is just grumpy old men who meet on Mondays. She's now a member. I invited her to come speak to a club, and she got very engaged. She knows me well. She has a show on the station, and now she is bringing in new people. Her job is networking. The Chamber of Commerce brings people in, and I'm also now a member of the Andrews Chamber of Commerce, and that's I need to work more with them. With them being another town over, it's they're not going to be coming in person like the Zoom call, but I've got to get with them as well. But the other thing, I want to make sure that every member of our club serves on a committee. When we print out the bulletin, their names are there. They can see that they have purpose in our club, that they're not just sitting there eating lunch. So every single committee we have, or every member we have, is going to be on a committee so that they know that we value them. So between those things, but my biggest take on this is to let the community, through broadcast media, print media, social media, let people know what you're doing. They need to see the good works that you're doing. They need to see our branding, the Rotary branding all over the place. So whenever somebody from out of town comes in, they don't have to say, well, what's Rotary? They already know. because you have let them know through all the projects you're working on. So, and again, make sure all your social media feeds are clean and positive. If you put a bunch of boring stuff on there, it's just going to blend into the background. It's going to be background noise, but all the great things you're doing, make sure to put that on social media so people can share that. And I encourage every one of our members that go to our Rotary Club of Murphy page, when we post stuff, share it on their page too, because that's just trickling down. It's kind of like, the pyramid scheme, 1 going to 2, like network marketing, that kind of thing. So if our members can share what we're doing from our page to their page, or from my company page to their page, it's really helping getting the word out why others need to join us. So when we approach somebody, we don't have to go into as much detail about what we do. We get a lot of people saying, yeah, I know what you do. And the thing that I've really found out, I've had a lot of people just contact me directly and say, I see what you guys are doing. I really like it. How can I be a part of it? So we're not having to go out and sell to them. They're coming to us now because they see what we're doing and they want to be a part of that. So Travis, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Well, I mean, and kind of my thing was, and I saw this when I started the club, too, it was just an old man's club that sat around, eat lunch and gossip. But, I wanted to change that image, not for ourselves, but for the community. I wanted the community to see, exactly what we were doing. And a lot of our older members, they said, well, we don't want people to think that we're bragging. We don't want them to think that we're showing off or anything like that. And I said, no, not at all. I said, but they do need to know what we're doing. We were doing lots of great things in the community, but nobody knew who. They just knew that it happened. And so, I assured the members that we would, kind of put our stuff out there, but not be, bragging sort of way. And I think that was kind of what my whole idea was. And I got in with Tim. I knew Tim would be an absolute critical part of getting the word out because of his huge Facebook following, as well as his listeners. And I said, he can only be an asset. And so we had to get Tim on board, And so we had David, our scout publisher, our paper publisher, on board as well. And he was doing a pretty good job, but he, I think, as well, was afraid that if he posted things in the paper, folks would see that as bragging. And I assured him that no, we just want people to see that we're an active club. We're not just a check writing club. We actually do stuff and we do fun stuff. And, even just our Christmas tree sales, yeah, it's a project, it's a fundraiser and that type of thing, but we have a good time doing it. And when we showed people that, they wanted to be a part of it. Tiffany, that the first year, that I was as president, she was like, oh, I want to go sell trees. I want to go pick up trees. And she got involved. And as people saw what we were doing, they wanted to be a part of what was our activities, not just coming to a meeting. And we still have that with them today. There's sometimes that maybe not every person can come every Monday to our meeting, but they can at least come to an activity and help with an activity. And we saw a huge increase that way. And we've lost some members this year. And I think a lot of times I'd rather get a quality person as a replacement over quantity. That's one thing my grandfather kind of pushed in the back of my mind constantly was, quality will always bring you quantity. And so when we started looking at folks for members and stuff, we didn't just grab them because they were a number. We wanted them because they were an asset. They were quality members. We knew that they would be an asset to the club. And I think that's made a huge difference in what we've done.
I think we've gone from 30 to 42 members so far this year. And I have about 9 more on the potential list that hopefully we'll have. I'm hoping to hit 50 by the end of the year.
Wow, great job.
I I gave Tim a goal of maybe getting us to 40 members, and then I was going to try to get us to 50 members. Well, it looks like I'm not going to have to work very hard next year. So,
Presenters, thank you. Let's open this for questions if we may. DG David, can you control who we call on?
Go ahead, Barbara.
I heard a couple of you in different clubs talking about, sounded as if you are still having in-person meetings. Is that the case where maybe you're a hybrid or you are meeting in person? And I ask because Rotary Club of Madison County, when COVID hit back in March, that was the end of our meeting in person, and we've been Zooming since then. And you know, it's tough to bring in new members, but I'm just curious as to how many people are still really having in-person meetings.
Do we have a show of hands?
We had in-person meetings until the third week in December, and that's when the COVID numbers started going up. So we decided to kind of just do Zoom meetings until right now. And tomorrow we're going to have a board meeting, and we're thinking about going back to in-person meetings this month if we can get people to agree to do that.
And we were pretty much on the same time scale too. We stopped meeting right before, I guess a week or two before Christmas, and we're Zoom only right now, but we're hoping to find a bigger facility that will hold our group and then go back hopefully in person in March, along with a hybrid. The people that want to join us on Zoom can join us as well that way if they don't feel comfortable. We also take temperatures at the door just to make sure that everyone is not running a fever.
Great. Thank you.
Carolyn, you had your hand raised. Go ahead, Carolyn Allison.
Carolyn Allison with Rotary Club of Bryson City. We were meeting via Zoom, and then we have gone back to meeting in person. We had to meet, we're meeting now in the fellowship hall of a local church because that allows us to really spread apart. We're seating only 2 per table. They're about 6 or 8 foot round tables, but our club is really, our attendance is really quite small. And we did lose some people when we were meeting via Zoom because some of the members were just not comfortable with that. And our biggest fundraisers were a golf tournament and a road race. And of course, we had to eliminate those for the moment. So we are slowly just kind of trying to stay together and active, but it's been really hard. So
yes, Audley.
Wonderful stories. I'm just so enthused and encouraged because each club have a totally different approach and a totally different way of doing something, and the results are just absolutely fantastic. I just wanted to share in relation to going back in person or possibly from a hybrid scenario. As a thought, if you absolutely have to move or go back, I know there's normally a long-standing history with your meeting room or space that you have now. But if they're not open, and if you have to go back in person, or if you have to change rather than go back, consider a location with an audio-visual setup that's already in place. That makes it so much easier that your members would not have to be carrying a screen or a projector. It may be a restaurant with a room with an overhead projector or something like that. So my thinking or the thought I wanted to share is if you absolutely have to move, because ideally want to stay in that spot that you have this wonderful relationship with over the years. But if for some reason you have to move to go back in person or hybrid, consider a location that may have that audio visual setup already. That makes it so much easier to have those kind of hybrid meetings. I just wanted to share that thought.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Ireland. I'm with the Asheville Breakfast Rotary Club and also an AG. Tim, so I have a question for those of us who are not media savvy and we don't have anyone in our club that works for a newspaper or radio station. How do we reach out to those folks? Do they want to get like an email with information? Do they want phone calls? How do we get it in front of them?
Today's technology, people prefer the email method versus the phone calls. and maybe inviting them to a meeting to let them to see what's going there. We try to put as much as we can so that we get in the newspaper at least every other week. Right now, we're still continuing our coat drive. We had a very successful coat drive. I think in the winter months when it's a lot, I mean, December and January, we gave out about 500 coats, I believe. And now we have a lot more coming in. And that's just with us on the radio saying, here, the Rotary Club has a need. There were only 2 coats left at the Department of Social Services. We partnered with them along with some other folks as far as getting those out. Now we're down to 2. So I've had probably a donation of 75 more coming in today. So it's very important to be a vital part of your community and letting the community know. So reaching out to them, maybe let them know what you're doing, send them a press release. If you make a video, you may want to send them a video. And again, the chambers of commerce in your town, let them know because they like to put stuff like that on their event calendar. If you have fundraisers coming up, have them put that on their event calendar, and also the newspaper and radio as well. And as much as I hate it, social media has really taken over a lot of our attention spans. So you create those Facebook events that are date specific so that people can indicate that they're going or not. When you do that, it will share on their timeline that Cindy Ireland is going to this polio fundraiser event, and other people can see that as well. So the more traction you can get, but as far as contacting them, maybe calling them on the phone and ask them to what their best method is, but usually it's a press release. And if you can get those people in your club, it will be really, really beneficial.
Very good. Seems like we got any more questions, or Philip, are you wanting to take the reins here? Or?
No, I was going to make a quick comment, but starting with Beth and Susan and all the way through, what I've heard said today is make it folksy, but make it personal. And thinking about my club, we tend to post things on our website as if members were going to read them. They're long, they're detailed. And what I'm hearing Tim say is that it's make it like you would the newspaper. Short, attention getting, fact oriented, and exciting. And that's something, especially with everybody kind of hunkered down, is it's got to be pretty exciting because we're all reading so much information. But this has been great today. No, keep going if there are questions, David.
Can I add one comment?
Maybe. Okay, Tim. Okay.
Feeding on what Philip was saying there about posting to what the members would read or what the other folks would read. One of the basic tenets of advertising is the listener or the reader, they're looking quickly, what's in it for me? So when we advertise for a dentist, we don't say the dentists are, they do root canals, they pull your teeth. We basically say for a brighter, prettier smile, contact Dr. Barry Watson. So what's in it for me is when you're posting that information on Facebook.
Excellent. Excellent point. You know, I just, I took some notes, of course, here today, and I noticed that we covered some really great key points. And I put a comment in there that these clubs are demonstrating perfect execution in a lot of different ways. One of the things that I picked up on was the Discover Rotary event. Those are proven over and over again to be successful ways to entice new members to the club. So if you're looking for a true success that's proven over time, Discover Rotary is a great way to do that. We can help you to put on one of those events. The community connection. I think, talking from Mountaintop's perspective, how they had the community nonprofits come in and talk about how they are engaged with Rotary. I thought that was very novel and really intelligent. Another way to show how your club is irresistible. Because, I mean, after all, people join Rotary to do service. They want to be part of the community, and that's a great way to do it. I like the public image emphasis that Tim and the Rotary Club of Murphy have shown, and especially the potential member use. That was something we talked about at PETS, and using that potential member to help manage those leads so that you can stay in contact with people. I'm stand here humbled by this hard work that you guys have done in the face of COVID. You stayed so optimistic and you made it happen. It's just goes to show it can happen. New membership is still happening in District 7670 because we keep our chins up and we keep going. Is there any more questions that anybody wants to ask while we got about a minute or two here? Any other last questions? Happy to have it. Well, it doesn't seem like we got any more questions, Membership Chair Philip. If you'd like to wrap us up and tell us about the next meeting.
DG David and I talked about the next meeting, but we want to serve up what the clubs want. And we've talked about adding new members. We've had a couple of clubs talk about retention problems, especially when meetings went to Zoom and you lost the around the table fellowship, part of the club. So we're going to look at that. If you have other suggestions, you'd rather hear something different, please let us know. Also, I think this past month we posted our information about the Impact Club, the recorded meeting, on Facebook instead of on our district website. Maybe we'll look at that and maybe post both places. For sure, we'll put this event tonight, we'll put it on the district website, right, DG David? Because there are folks that had conflicts or couldn't be here. But this was good information. These were clubs just like yours that did right things right. I loved hearing about having 25 members spend 1 minute each. And if they were mid-sentence, they got yanked. Those of us my age remember the Gong Show, remember? And they would yank you off the stage. But that's a great idea because then nobody can be long-winded and people hear what the people involved in Rotary are involved for, what they're accomplishing. So great event tonight. I want to congratulate Audley Knight actually suggested this format tonight. He said, why don't you have some successful clubs come in and tell how they did it? And I'm not a great reader, but I love to hear personal stories. So thank you, Audley. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, presenters. And DG David, I think that's it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.